Hello, all my international cuisine friends for Leslie's Liberty Galley Kitchen. Chop chop. For today, we are going cultural appropriation with Szechuan China. And today we're doing Szechuan deep fried snapper with a side of tofu and oyster sauce with fresh snow peas. Now I'm going to take this culturally appropriated peasant hat off, mixing with Eastern culture Leslie. He gets to lick my plates whenever he wants. If you can't handle that, then you're not going to be able to handle the Liberty Galley kitchen because we do follow cross-contamination. We try to cross-contaminate everything that we possibly can here. Like fresh bean sprouts in water. I've drained the water from time to time, perk them up a little bit, bring them as close to their original state of being. You can grow them from seeds or among the beans, MUNG. Your soybean sprouts. You need a slightly warmer temperature. A cold kitchen will inhibit the growth and just confuse them a little bit. It's mostly just a watering, not terribly dissimilar of sprouting a marijuana seed that you may or may not purchase from an outside source or country, legally or illegally. It's not my business to know. I don't want to know. Don't tell me. I don't want to know too much about you. This is garlic I just smashed. This is a fresh garlic. You want to squeeze it when you buy them to make sure that they're tight. A firm breast, not a terribly fat breast that's too squeezable. No breasts are too squeezable. All breasts from a man's perspective should be equally fine. It's the woman behind those breasts and her intellect that will either keep him as a life witness or not. For him, it's just a childhood suckling reaction, you understand? That he's obsessed with because it's obsessible. They're fun. Toy. No, you can't see mine. As it is, I'm not wearing a bra. No brassiere for Leslie today. The first thing I do is remove it when I get home to be comfortable. Not that they're nubile, as they might have been years ago, like in that photograph you get to see, and some of you guys slobber over. Ladies, I hope you realize it's a bit of a joke, a lark. How does an old lady even get anyone to watch them? At least I'm respected as a moderator and as a commenter. That's okay. This is all extra stuff for me. I have my small amount of influence, and that's what I'm satisfied with. Though I've met my Peter principle here, I'll still keep a foot in it. Of course. How can I not? While doing other things and other aspects, genres of the liberty movement, just as I came here from another aspect of it in the pundit world. PUNDIT. Having a blog site called House Divided, with a staff of 2 in 2016. And before that, I was also into some politics, more often than not protecting those who I didn't vote for. I have something caught in my teeth. I hope you don't mind if I pluck it out with my fingernail. Not quite long enough for cocaine fingernail. That's a dangerous drug. Not that I know anything about it. Alright, so now we have our garlic. So I'm just taking the knife here as a fulcrum point so I can go up and down like that. With my hands held with the knife like this. There's some garlic adhered to it. You can slice it thinly or with a razor blade like Goodfellas. Good movie. Again, try to use the back of the knife as much as you can thoughtfully to reduce the wear on the sharpness. So And when you clean a knife, you don't clean a knife with it in the air. You put it against your kitchen counter so it lays flat. So when you're cleaning it with your billow pad or whatever, nothing can possibly cut you. Safety first. Officer safety. Officer safety. Officer safety. Now I'm going to be careful when I put this extra garlic in. This community plate, so it doesn't get too much garlic taste on the orange. That wouldn't go well. It's a surprise, like when you think you're going to be drinking soda and you get a really dry red wine instead, or dry wine and instead you get milk, or vice versa. I think it's worse if you think you're getting milk and drinking that red wine. As much as I love red wines, I had all 60 top growths in my cellar. Growths! Growths! That's what they call them. The classification of 1855 for Chateaux Extraordinaire Grand Cru Classé. And they were good. They've been washed, but I'm rewashing them just some squash. Only because I have it. I'm cutting it on the bias, as you can see, in relatively large chunks. Not many of them. Here's a tip. I'm cutting off the tip, so there's no more tip. I haven't eaten anything today, so I'm eating this. A squash. A zucchini green squash. A few more days it would have been a baseball bat. Then the soda. Dr. Brown's cherry soda, black cherry. There's nothing better than it that I found. And their cream soda is excellent as well. As is Dr. Pepper's new cream soda, cola, which tastes mostly like cola, just as it really only has a slight cherry taste. Interesting product. Dr. Pepper, 10, 2, and 4. You Southerners will understand. It's my favorite. Right out of the pan. Dr. Brown's and Dr. Pepper. Two good doctors. Sassafras, sarsaparilla. Filet. I can feel the sugar surging through my system as an energy boost. Not quite those last tablespoons of honey that I'd sneak in before a track event. Just the right amount of time, maybe 10 minutes. 5 minutes pushing it. Maybe up to 15. I don't know if it helped, but I figured it wouldn't hurt. If it psychologically helped me, all the better. I'll take every advantage I can get. Now here is a packet of glutinous rice flour. It's just used instead of wheat flour. It's made from rice. Has slightly different products to it, but this I'll often mix with cornstarch. And here's another one. Glutinous rice flour. This, you can see they're making bows. Yes, like Bao, our friend Bao. Shorshu bao, steamed, or just a little crispiness on top after the steam. So it's a little darker on the top and bottom, which is the way I like it. It's still tender inside. Pork fillings, usually. Fatty pork. They make it in chicken as well. Alright, let's get the heat on. I just give it a little blow. I don't need to, it just gets a little oxygen quicker. Get my temperature set. This is a red pepper, a hot pepper. I forgot which type it is. I'd say it's going to rate between a 5 and a 7. take some cuts away from different spots. Smell it first. If I could smell it from here, I know it's really hot. Just lick it to my tongue. Give it a second because it's often an aftershock. Very mild. So far, not even as mild as an average jalapeno. But there's a range of peppers. There's its seeds, its insides. I'm just taking those out with my finger, not all of them. If it was really hot, I take everything out. The tip of the pepper is usually its sweetest part, so it's not a good place to take a test. More sugar in it. It's masking its true heat, so you really need to test it from the other end, where its rootstock is. I usually have a garbage bowl. Right now, this my container, my transport container. Set some of those extra seeds aside. I don't mind having a few floating in. If I had more time, I would have used some of my dried hot peppers and soaked them. See how I kept the end attached. See, they're not falling apart. And I'll do that with the other side. The same way. I can now double these up. With that up and down motion with the fulcrum. Thumb is behind me to protect my thumb. So it even goes against me. My fingers are the guide for it. As long as I have that tiny angle away from it. Angle it like this. Of course, I'm going to cut my finger off. Go like that. It could be worse. Right. That'll end up going viral. That 1.5 second portion, and then they'll do a 5150 on me. My life will be ruined because of a snippet. Because of those who think they know what's best for me. So this we're going to set aside as part of our sauce. The Szechuan food that we're making, and maybe leaving 2 or 3 or 4 just for some color for our oyster sauces. Here's our fish. I'm going to raise the heat now. We'll come back to prepping more here in a moment. Not the ideal pan for this. I might end up having to cut the tail end off over here. We try to put it in with the head near you. See, it's not terribly hot. There we go a little bit. I don't mind blasting this right now because it's getting a lot of mass of coldness entering it. It's going to drop the temperature quickly. And I don't have all that much oil in it. I don't want it splattering all over the place. We're going to slowly drop it in. This way it will also be less prone to stick. So we're giving it a chance to seal, S-E-A-L. Not like the seals that the police officers, the paramilitary police officers, the wannabe seals think they are. Some more noble than others, of course. Now I feel the heat of that, and as you can see, this is a little absurd as to the sizes that we're dealing with here. It's sizzling nicely, and lowering it a little bit. These are some pre-cooked strips. They look pretty good to me because the size was decent and they weren't completely curled into each other. They've been set in salt, just a little bit of salt, which brings out the flavor in the shrimp. If Chinese food places do is they'll add a little salt. Just take a peek at the bottom, see what it looks like. It's not really near fried. We're upping that temperature. We don't have to worry about that for a few minutes. The veins in this particular batch of snow peas. It's actually not tough at all. I've tested a few, and this is a bigger one. You can pull off the end and lift the vein up. It's like a thin thread. It's this membrane that brings the water all along it. This is a slurry of cornstarch and water that we'll use to thicken it. Oh, getting back to that game with the rectangle. If you take a glass cookie brownie container and you fill it up with enough cornstarch and water so that when you leave the water and cornstarch alone, it solidifies, that you can still put your hand in, and the warmth of your hand will slowly bring it back to its gloppiness. It's a fun feeling for those who don't mind getting their hands dirty, of course. I brought out the tofu. Firm, it goes firm is the hardest, then soft, which I prefer, but it's almost impossible to find outside of Chinese groceries, or silken. Silken is used as a dessert. It's like a pudding, a soft custard. You could add honey to it. So that's slightly cooked. Cooking up, and I'm putting it down on the side now. After I slice the solid bricks of tofu that comes in this, I rinse it several times to bring out some of its additional starches. If you want it a little firmer, you can put a slight weight of a plate over it on paper towels or a regular linen towel to reduce some of the moisture out of it, depending on what type of product you want. Weight is not want enough. The fish gave its life for me to enjoy, and to your pleasure as well. A half a cap, maybe 2/3 of a teaspoon of oil into that other pan, as I have Chinese chicken dumplings. They're like a soup dumpling, but they can be fried or steamed. They're wonderful. It's a product put out by a Korean group. It's affordable. It's fantastic. Slivers like so. They don't have to be exact, just approximate. You could cube them. You could do whatever you like. There are no rules really, other than what tastes good to you and your guests. Still go to the hot oil and any areas that you still want to fry up. This is actually cooking, where I'm splattering the oil. It's already sealed, so it's only sealing off the outside portion, not the inside that gets cooked. I don't eat this entail, but that's enough. Be gentle and careful when you're dealing with oil, please. I have no marks on my arms that is common. You throw things away from you, so it splatters away from the oil. When oil splatters away from you, this pan's going to be too hot. I'm lowering the heat. Cover it. Continue our little extra outside, little exterior cooking. You could use the round bowl as well that usually comes with these. There's a brown color to it. Not much. 6 would probably be sufficient. You can go over a few more minutes. We're going to add some side is finishing its own heat. I'm turning off the flame. You can see what the underside looks like. The underside that we cook the oil on, and the top side. That's what it will look like on our serving side. There are other types of specialty flours you can buy. This is oat bran pizza crust. That was a gluten-free pizza crust. Buckwheat flour, that's kasha. It's buckwheat, an ancient food, along with barley and garbanzo beans, chickpeas that the ancient world lived on to a great extent. Putting the heat back on, cook our sauce. Szechuan sauce, which is hoisin sauce, oyster sauce, a little bit of ginger, of which we're now adding more. The orange slices we're putting on this plate. We'll do it more decoratively in a moment. Into our sauce, get some little flour, light soy. The garlic goes in. Mostly saving a little garlic. Another dish. Some more soy. Cooked fish is coming out. Here is our service side. It'll look better than this when we serve it. Move this aside. Give it a taste. That's good. I'd like a little spicier for me. So I'm just adding a little cayenne. I always put it into the cap first to control the amount. Heating that up for our oyster sauce dish. We'll add in those few zucchini and some color. Tofu can go in. Delicately, we don't want it to break up too much. So the peas, snow peas on top. Cover. Add some oyster sauce. The shrimp, they're already cooked, the shrimp, remember? Add the garlic and some of the ginger, bigger slices of ginger, so we can remove them. We just want the flavor of the ginger. Chinese rice cooking wine, and that should do it there. Get this board cleaned up out of here. not leaving you too long. Cheers, Chateauria Sec, 2001. To your health, to liberty, to furthering liberty. And good food and good friends. Here's our slurry. Cornstarch. And water slurry. When I heat this back up, it will thicken a little bit, just as will this. Put this in the toaster oven and juggling. Let it cook in its residual heat. Must sit a moment. I'll be back. I'm back. I'm fine. I just broke out in a cold sweat, that's all, at 7:30 in the evening. And I haven't had any food yet. Because I'm foolish sometimes and I'm pushing it too hard. As you might be able to tell a little bit of my mood, which is a slightly angry mood while cooking. But because I prep so much, and being aware of that, and all the other things that goes on in one's life, everyone's life, we all have things to do. A little cold water in the back of your neck, or on your wrists, cold water when you're driving, where the blood is closest to your veins to make a difference, or here, or in the back of your thigh, underneath where your kneecap is, or just to leave a cold towel on the back of your neck does wonders to keep you alert. So, putting this together now, you can see how we've decorated all this white rim of the towel. I stuck an orange in the fish's mouth. It might be better like that, to let him grasp and at least have a bite. I don't like to play with my food like this, but it's a decorative way to serve it, especially for those who don't like the head facing them, as I mentioned. Try to clean a little bit while you cook. The assemblage. Nice bowl that I use for my restaurant, where this was the size salads we served. Green curd with oyster sauce. You could even embellish it with some sesame seeds. Sesame seeds too, you could put both on, half black and half white. Right, no ethnicity issues here. I'm red, white, and blue. That's my hue. Everyone's welcome here. Keep that on some residual heat. Cover that. And now we have our fish. So put a small amount of snow peas here. Not snow peas, bean sprouts. Here's your lunch, Mr. Fish or Mrs. Fish. Hopefully the misses were left there so they could pass their row on to the next generation. As I said, with the crispiness, we'll just put a little bit here to cover up that slight error, and maybe a little bit around the gills. However you like. Extra we can take and put on of basmati rice. If you didn't want sticky rice, which is good use for this and many other Chinese foods, you just rinse the rice through cold water until it runs clear instead of starch. And then you can use maybe a quarter cup less water in your cooking. And it's generally a 2-to-1 ratio. So here we have it for you. For your eating pleasure, Szechuan deep fried snapper, traditionally a sea bass, with shrimp, oyster sauce, tofu with snow peas, and basmati rice. Enjoy. To the side. Of wontons. Crispy. You could serve these with a hoisin sauce. That's the type that you get from the mushu pork that you get when you wrap in the little crepes. Bon appetit, everyone. Protect liberty and the Constitution and save the Republic. Further liberty as opposed to diminishing it, please. Our children depend upon what we do today, as do our posterity. Signing off from the Cultural Appropriation Liberty Galley Kitchen with Ranger as sous chef. He'll check over the dishes afterwards, I assure you, as will I. Later, y'all. Ending with a smile. Bye. Later. Later. Never give up. Never give up. Never give up.